The engines were already screaming when she looked at me. No hesitation, no softness, just calculation. "Get off," she said, like she was asking me to move aside in a hallway. "You're dead weight." I remember the heat of the runway bleeding through my boots, the smell of fuel, the screams behind us injured civilians we were supposed to evacuate. I remember thinking she was joking. She wasn't. She shoved the manifest into my chest. "We don't have space for everyone." I glanced past her. The cargo hold was full, not of people. Crates, sealed, unmarked, heavy enough to need to men each. I knew what that meant. She knew I knew. "That's stolen," I said quietly. Her lips curved just a little. "That's survival." Then she leaned closer, voice dropping so only I could hear it. "You've always been useless in crisis. Stay with them. Play the hero." And then she turned her back on me. The hatch closed. The last flight out lifted without me. We weren't always like this. She used to braid my hair before school. Used to punch boys twice her size for looking at me wrong. My sister was fire. I was quieter. But we worked. She made noise. I made plans. We built each other. At least, that's what I believed. Even in the field, we were a team. She led evacuations. I handled logistics. We trusted each other with lives, which is why it took me too long to accept the truth. The first crack was small. Missing inventory reports, delayed shipments, paperwork that didn't align. I flagged it once. She brushed it off. Clerical errors. I wanted to believe her. Then I started noticing patterns. High-value routes, conflict zones, places where oversight collapsed just long enough for things to disappear. And then 2 nights before that flight I saw her, in the cargo bay, alone, opening crates that weren't on any official record. Gold bars, medical supplies, weapons, all tagged for relief distribution. None of it ever reached the people. I didn't confront her then. That was my mistake. Or maybe my advantage, because when she left me behind, she thought she had silenced the only witness. She underestimated how much I had already seen. I didn't die on that runway. I stayed, with the wounded. I did the job she abandoned. And while I worked, I watched, I listened, I collected everything. Names of drivers, routes, black market contacts whispered over cracked radios. People talk when they think no one matters enough to hear them. I mattered. I just stopped announcing it. When we were finally rescued days later, the story had already been written. She was a hero. Captain who sacrificed everything to save critical assets under extreme pressure. That's how they framed it. The country ate it up. Interviews, awards, a ceremony scheduled in her honor. I watched it all from the sidelines. Quiet, invisible, planning. Revenge isn't loud. Not the kind that lasts. I started with records. The manifest she altered, I had copies. The originals. Timestamps don't lie. Then the routes. I mapped every lost shipment against her deployments. Patterns became proof. Then came the money. Shell accounts tied to offshore transfers. Payments that didn't match any official salary. I followed every thread until it tightened around her neck. Legally, irrefutably. And I didn't rush it. Weeks turned into months. I let her rise higher. Let the spotlight grow hotter. Because the higher you stand, the harder you fall. The night of the ceremony, I almost didn't recognize her. Perfect uniform, medals polished, smile practiced. The crowd adored her. Applause echoed like thunder as she stepped up to the podium. Courage, the host said. Integrity, sacrifice. I stood at the back, uninvited, unseen, until I wasn't. She started her speech with the usual lines. Duty, honor, service. I let her get comfortable, let her believe the lie had settled into truth. Then I walked forward, each step deliberate, each heartbeat steady. At first, no one noticed. Then a few heads turned. Then silence began to ripple. She saw me, and for the first time in years, my sister looked afraid. I was on that flight, I said. No microphone. Didn't need one. The room had already gone quiet. Her smile cracked. Security. They won't stop this, I said calmly, because I had already made sure of that. The screens behind her flickered, then changed. Documents, images, footage. Her footage. Cargo being loaded. Crates opened. Transactions logged. Every lie. Stripped bare. Gasps spread through the room like fire. She tried to speak. Nothing came out. I stepped closer. You left civilians behind, I said, to make space for stolen goods. Her head shook. Frantic. That's not. Every shipment, every payment, every route. I let the weight of it settle. You didn't just betray me, I said quietly. You betrayed everyone who trusted you. The silence that followed was heavier than any applause. They didn't clap this time. They stared at her, not as a hero, as something else entirely. Security moved in, not toward me, toward her. She reached for me as they took her arm. You don't understand. I looked at her hand. Didn't take it. I understand perfectly. That was the difference between us. I always had. Later, when it was over, when the headlines flipped, when her name turned from praise to accusation, I finally allowed myself to feel something close to peace. Not joy. Not even satisfaction. Just balance. She made her choice on that runway. So did I. The difference is, I didn't leave anyone behind.